The story of King Solomon, one of the most prominent figures in the Bible, is mainly told in the Old Testament, particularly in the books of 1 Kings, 2 Chronicles, and in the Song of Solomon. Solomon is remembered for his wisdom, wealth, and building the first temple in Jerusalem, which made him one of Israel's most famous and significant kings. Here's a comprehensive recounting of his life and legacy. Birth and ascension to the throne. Solomon was the son of King David and Bathsheba. David, the second king of Israel, had a complicated relationship with Bathsheba, which began with a scandalous affair that led to the death of her first husband, Uriah. Despite the controversial beginning, Solomon was born as the second child of David and Bathsheba. When David grew old, there was a question about who would succeed him on the throne. Solomon was not David's eldest son, but he was chosen by David, likely influenced by divine guidance. David instructed his son Solomon on how to rule Israel wisely, ensuring peace and justice. Upon David's death, Solomon ascended to the throne of Israel. His reign is often described as the height of Israel's power and prosperity, and he is remembered as one of Israel's greatest kings. Divine wisdom and early reign. One of the most famous stories about Solomon is his encounter with God shortly after he became king. In a dream, God appeared to Solomon and offered him anything he wanted. Solomon, instead of asking for wealth, long life, or the death of his enemies, asked for wisdom to govern the people of Israel well. God was pleased with this request and granted Solomon wisdom, making him the wisest man who ever lived, along with wealth and honor. This divine wisdom was soon tested in the famous story of the two women who came before Solomon with a baby. Both women claimed to be the mother of the child, and they were at an impasse. Solomon, using his wisdom, proposed to divide the baby in two, giving half to each woman. The true mother immediately offered to give up her claim to save the child, revealing her identity. Solomon's judgment gained widespread admiration for his wisdom. Building the temple. One of Solomon's most significant achievements was the construction of the first temple in Jerusalem, also known as Solomon's Temple. David, Solomon's father, had long desired to build a temple to honor God, but was told by God that his son Solomon would complete the task. Solomon, with the help of skilled workers, craftsmen, and resources provided by neighboring kingdoms, built a magnificent temple. The temple became the central place of worship for the Israelites and housed the Ark of the Covenant, symbolizing God's presence among his people. Solomon also built a royal palace and expanded Jerusalem into a thriving city. He established a strong government and military, and his reign brought relative peace and prosperity to the kingdom of Israel. Wealth and alliances. Solomon's reign was marked by remarkable wealth and prosperity. He established trade routes with neighboring kingdoms, including Egypt and Phoenicia. He forged important alliances, including marrying the daughter of the Egyptian pharaoh, which helped solidify peace and trade agreements between Israel and Egypt. The Bible describes the immense wealth Solomon accumulated, with tribute coming from many surrounding nations. The Queen of Sheba, from the Kingdom of Sheba, often associated with Ethiopia or Yemen, visited Solomon to test his wisdom with difficult questions. She was astounded by his wisdom and the splendor of his court, offering him gifts in return for his answers. This visit further cemented Solomon's reputation as a wise and wealthy king. Solomon's wisdom and leadership. Solomon's wisdom was not limited to resolving disputes. It extended to wise governance and diplomacy. His ability to manage the diverse needs of Israel and its surrounding neighbors helped establish a period of peace and prosperity. He is traditionally credited with writing several biblical books, including Proverbs, Ecclesiastes, and Song of Solomon, Song of Songs, which reflect his wisdom and philosophical reflections on life. Solomon's works, especially in terms of governance, remain a point of reference in Jewish, Christian, and even Islamic thought. Decline and apostasy. Despite his wisdom and accomplishments, Solomon's later years saw a decline in his spiritual and political integrity. While he had been loyal to God earlier in his reign, his numerous foreign wives and concubines led him to idolatry. Solomon married many women, some of whom worshiped foreign gods, and he eventually allowed the worship of these gods in Israel, contrary to the commandments of the God of Israel. This apostasy angered God, who told Solomon that his kingdom would be divided after his death. God did not take the kingdom from Solomon immediately out of respect for David, but he warned that Solomon's descendants would face consequences for his disobedience. This prophecy was realized after Solomon's death in succession. Solomon reigned for 40 years, and after his death, his son Rehoboam succeeded him. However, due to Solomon's later disobedience and the division in the kingdom brought about by his foreign alliances and idolatry, the once unified kingdom of Israel split into two parts. The northern kingdom, known as Israel, rebelled against the southern kingdom of Judah, which remained under Rehoboam's rule. The division marked the beginning of a long period of decline for both kingdoms, which ultimately resulted in their conquest by foreign powers. Legacy of Solomon. Despite the spiritual decline in his later years, Solomon is remembered as one of the most significant kings in Israel's history. His wisdom, wealth, and building achievements, especially the First Temple, continue to influence Jewish, Christian, and Islamic traditions. The temple he built was a center of worship for the Israelites until its destruction by the Babylonians in 586 BCE. Solomon's life and reign are a reminder of the complexities of power and wisdom. His early devotion to God and his later decline due to disobedience serve as a cautionary tale about the dangers of pride, idolatry, and the neglect of spiritual duties. Solomon and other traditions. In addition to the biblical account, King Solomon also appears in Islamic tradition, where he is known as Sulayman. In Islam, Solomon is regarded as a prophet and a wise ruler who, like in the Bible, was granted dominion over the winds and animals. His story is told in several chapters of the Quran, where his wisdom and his role as a just ruler are highlighted. In addition, in Jewish and Christian mysticism, Solomon is often associated with wisdom, and many legends and apocryphal writings expand upon his life, reign, and achievements. Thus, King Solomon's legacy, both as a ruler and a wise figure, has endured across millennia, shaping religious, philosophical, and cultural traditions around the world.
Every answer stands tall, from the sunrise to the falls. He knew secrets big and small. King Solomon with a smile, walking wise mile by mile. In his stories there's a style, knowledge flows from every file. Queen of Sheba at his door, questions like never before. Seeking truths to explore, left him richer, not one poor. At his word, nations had peace, even when conflicts would cease. Tales of wonders never cease. Time with him was a masterpiece. In his hands a magic ring made the foes bow to the king. Scriptures make the spirit sing. In his reign love was the